Hey everyone, Ben here, sat on the grid at Botniering in Finland in the Radical for my very first race in rFactor 2's new in-game online system. And we're already underway, and you can see one of the drivers up ahead got a terrible start. That's bunched the field together a bit, and we've been caught out into T1, and our first race is over. Before it's even begun, we've gotten smashed into, and as we see it on the replay, you can see there one of the drivers bogging down. That was indeed the driver we would end up coming together with, and although he was earlier on the brakes, I think I've got to take my share of the responsibility there too, and what a mess into T1. We'll see it one final time here. I should have just given a little bit more margin to the drivers up ahead. A big mistake, and one with a big cost to it too. But we're not to be deterred. I've come back for another race. Now, it's been 828 days since I won an online race in a ranked lobby, but today I've qualified in P2, so whisper it quietly, we might have a chance to win this race. That is, if I can make it through turn 1 this time. Right then, take 2 here, and we're underway, and we just about get a decent start, but we've got pressure from behind into T1. Lolo momentarily right the way alongside me into T1 there, but on the outside, and I'm able to hold him off. But look at the gap already to pole sitter Christian De La Torre. He's nearly a second clear as we hit the braking zone into the right-hander, down into third gear, cold tyres and cold brakes. I'm being very cautious on this opening lap, maybe too cautious, as you can see the lead driver scampering off into the distance, but we've got about 0.4 of a second to the pack behind here, as again we're into this right-hander double apex for the first time, probably the trickiest corner on the circuit. Very easy to run wide there, and if you get tyres out onto the grass, it pulls you out and off into the gravel trap. Through the hairpin there then, and we're coming towards the end of what is a fast and frantic lap here in Finland. Just around 1 minute and 7 seconds in total through the left-hander again, and again just sliding the car almost through these corners. A blind apex here, get on the gas as early as you can, and we cross the start-finish line having held second position but 2 seconds off the lead. And as we rejoin, as we're about to start lap 3, yes, we've set the fastest lap of the race, but we're still 2 seconds behind Christian De La Torre. We do though have a 2-second gap of our own back to Jackie Sang. So now that the race has settled down and I'm focused on closing the gap to De La Torre, what do I think of this new online system? Well, my first impressions, I have to say, are very good. It reminds me of the feeling I had 3 years ago when I first started playing Race Room online. But ultimately, is it worth your time in 2023? Well, the good news is it doesn't take much time to try. Providing you're already set up on rFactor 2, then the interface is intuitive enough so that you can quickly get into races through a few button clicks. No websites or third-party apps necessary, and there's a decent choice of pretty accessible options for those coming new to the title. The beginner series are all base game content, and there's 3 combos in that category which rotate every hour and change every week, and I quite like the slightly obscure tracks that are on offer. You simply won't race most of these combinations in other titles. Progression's built into the system through license levels and safety ratings and tiers of racing to unlock, and there's also the promise of regular special events and a tease in the menus of an online career mode too. Crucially, for the time being, there appears to be a strong player base, meaning there have been multiple splits for most of the races I've seen, and with a safety and drivability rating system in place, there's the promise of being able to be pitted against similar paced drivers as you progress. It's early days, but it's looking positive, and actually, so are my chances in this race as we've rejoined the live action on lap 5, and you can see I've closed down the distance to De La Torre, and he's made another big mistake there. Heading into the hairpin, there's no gap at all now as we're right underneath his rear wing and closing in fast. I'm going to come to the inside here. Hopefully he's going to afford me space. Oh, but he squeezes me right out. We come together. A tiny bit of contact there in the cockpit. I was pretty really annoyed that he didn't give me more room on the inside, but we'll check that out on replay because the action is still unfolding on track here. We crossed the start finish line, we're into T1 again. He's having to dab the brakes mid-corner. He's carried too much speed on the outside, and that has put him slightly onto the raised curb there. That's given me a chance down this back straight here. We're all the way alongside. It's a right-hander next. I've got the high ground into the corner. Can I keep it tight and just make the position mine? Yes, I can. We're in the lead of the race, but wow, that was a very intense battle. Let's see it back on replay here. You can see he's in no mood to give me space on the inside, but to be fair, I'm not all the way alongside. Far from it, in fact. I might even just have the slightest of overlap, so maybe ultimately that's a bit of a racing incident. I can't really understand why he didn't give me slightly more room there or fully close off the inside of the corner. But as it was, we both continued in the race, so really I think that's just a racing incident. But let me know what you think in the comments. It wouldn't be too long before I was able to get all the way alongside here. As we come out of T1, you can see the dust kicking up there as De La Torre just got out onto the edge of the circuit. That would give me more momentum down the straight, and actually I've got a nose ahead into the braking zone. He can't hold it around the outside, and the position is mine. On to lap 9 then, and you can see we've been able to build quite a bit of a gap back to De La Torre in just a couple of laps. This is now beginning to feel like an excellent opportunity to end my long drought for an online win in sim racing. It's been so long, not quite 3 years, but 828 days. So I don't want to make any mistakes. It actually looks like it's De La Torre who's made a mistake. In the rearview mirror there, I saw dust being kicked up, and look at that, I mentioned it earlier in the race. So easy to get pulled out wide through that corner. That's exactly what's happened there, and it takes him an age to get back on track. And when we get onto lap 11, that means the gap behind is now well clear of 7 seconds. But I was about to have a big scare because look at the screen, we've frozen, and at this point I feared we'd been disconnected from the server. Thankfully we did get going, but it cost me a good couple of seconds and actually a little bit more time as I got recomposed in the race. Thankfully this time it didn't cost me, and as we're on to the final lap, the final corner of the final lap, we come to cross the line and we take the checkered flag. This is not a feeling that I'm used to, and even though we're in a rookie server, I'm going to savour it. You can get a sense then on screen of the ranking progression in this rFactor 2 online mode, and here's a full breakdown of the results. We were ultimately the quickest driver on track today, and that is really pleasing. Overall, I've been impressed with this new system. Here's the combinations that are live this week. I do encourage you to give it a go, and I will see you on the next one.